Hello, dear book dragons. I'm doing like a mid-October film today because I have books I need to give back to the library, and I wanted to show them to you before I do that. And this way I also don't have to make so long videos. I kind of like making videos shorter and more often. And first I want to show you my drawings and stickers I put it for October because I bought some new stickers online, and I'm really proud of my little October drawings and pictures up here. And I'm in a book club. Well, I'm actually in 3 book clubs online, and another person in one of the groups was showing her book diary, and she has this beautiful stickers that I like really amazed of. And then I was like, oh, maybe I can order some really nice stickers for autumn. And I just googled it and found this really nice pictures. So this one and this little down here is from there, but the small ones I actually already had. And these 3 are also from that little bundle that I bought. So very happy with those, and there's like 50 of them, so it will keep a long time. And I read 4 books so far in October, and 4 of them is library books. And the first one is Redwall by Brian Jacks. I think he is Canadian, I'm not sure. And this is a delightful, really sweet, but also a bit dark book about it's a whole community of mice who live in this abbey. Well, not all of them live in the abbey, but this is this really sweet world. And our young hero is called Matthias. That might be him, I'm not really sure. And then we have this really, really evil rat you see on this picture. He's Clooney. Clooney I call him the crazy, but he's cool. Scorch. Clooney's the Scorch, I think he calls himself. So in the beginning of this book, Matthias is longing from the very relaxed and very safe life in the abbey. He wants to be a hero. He wants to learn sword fighting, but that's not what happens there in the beginning of the book. But very quickly this crazy, extremely evil rat arrives, or on their way to the abbey. He just destroys everything, he takes over everything and destroys everything. But because it is actually like a fort, they can very easily take over the abbey. So the story is about this, really. Matthias founding his way, because the abbey was founded many hundreds of years ago by a really big hero, Martin, who's also, of course, a mouse, Martin the mouse, who had this famous sword, and they don't know where his grave is or where his sword is. So a lot of the book is Matthias looking for clues to find the sword, and he kind of meets him in dreams. And then we also follow Clooney from his point of view, and he's really evil. This is not a book for small children. He kills his rats from left to right. He doesn't really care about his lieutenants or his soldiers. So it's kind of grim in that way, but it's also a very sweet story. And Matthias gets to know new animals he hasn't met before, because when he has has to leave the abbey sometimes, and he meets this really, really funny hair. It's just so funny. A little bit crazy, very funny. Later he also meets this fantastic cat, and who leads him on to an owl. I mean, an owl and a mice. That's maybe not the best idea, but they're all very impressed by his bravery. And then there's also this horrible big snake, Asmodeus, something like that. And this is the whole series of books. The funny thing is that I actually have a coloring book based on this story. And I saw another booktuber talking about this series, how wonderful they are. And she was reading the second book in the series, Mossflower. And I looked at the library, and I saw that they had not all of these books, but some of them. And I thought, well, I'll start with the first one. So this is the first one, and I probably will read more books from the series. I highly enjoy them. I gave it 5 stars. It's very adventurous and sweet, and sometimes not so sweet. And I mean, you don't really feel so much for all these evil rats dying, but there are some sad parts towards the end. I won't say more on that, but yeah, it was a lovely book. And then I read something totally different, and a new book, Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. And I think I've shown this book. Maybe I only taken pictures of it and shared it on Instagram. So this is the front. Here you can have sprayed edges, and if you open it up, you get this text here. We were doomed, she and I. One day I would perish, and she would live on, endless as the stars. And that's Vincent talking about Matilda, who is the head person in this book. Both of them are, of course. But it's mostly about the redhead goddess Matilda. And yeah, this is just so gorgeous pictures. And I really enjoyed reading about a person called Matilda, obviously. It's the same pictures on the backside, but kind of opposite. And I mean, I really love Rebecca Ross books. I love them all. I love some more than others, but I think I would say this is my new favorite. This is based in the same world as the Divine Rivals, but many, many hundreds of years earlier, when the gods and goddesses were still alive. Well, in Divine Rivals, there's only 2 gods left. One goddess and 1 god. But this is much, much earlier. And we start with Matilda getting born, and she's born, her mother is an underling god, which means they live under the human earth. They have their like burrows that they live in. It's dark down there. It's it's kind of like a little Hades maybe, but they're no dead. Oh, they are actually dead people there. The humans, because they have like some humans as servants, and when they die, they kind of can live on as spirits. So yeah. And then there's the skyward gods up in the sky, and they can also have the same. So it's not just in the underworld. There are dead humans. But this book is about Matilda's life, and we start with her birth, and then I forgotten the name of the mother. Doesn't really matter. Her mother is not a very big part of the story. It feels a little bit like the Greek god world, but it's still like totally her own world that she's created, and I really, really enjoy this. The end creates the beginning. Act 1. I can read the beginning here. Once long ago, I believed the god of war was my father, but only because he was first to hold me in his arms after I was born. And Bade is the name of god of war, and he is a very, very important person in her life throughout the book, and their relationship is really sweet. The sad part is that when you are a god and a goddess, you're in constant dangers of the other gods and goddesses, because if a god kills another god, they can steal their magic. So it's not as safe. Definitely not as safe world. And her mother, who is the goddess of winter and fire. Oh, sorry. Yeah, she has this. Senja. Her mother's name is Senja. So she has this. The people in different. You can read about them, who they are, in which realm, or realm. I always think realm, but I remember now you say realm. And Matilda gets her power. Well, it takes time before you get them in this world, but she's a herald of the gods. So when she grows up, when she's older, she can go from the different realms with messages. And it's just a fascinating story and beautiful love story. Her mother has like 2 friends, other goddesses, and one of them is Alva, who's the goddess of dreams and nightmares. And for some reason, she lets Matilda read this people's dreams in kind of letters or and she reads about this young boy called Vincent. And somehow she ends up in his dreams, and they have never met. But magically, he dreams of her, and he has a lot of nightmares all the time. He's dreaming of dying, and in the dreams she saves him, and he always asks after her name, but she never tells him. So he calls her Red because of her red hair. And and finally they do meet for real, and it's not until then he actually realizes who she is, that she is a goddess, because most people don't know about her. Even whenever goddess or goddess is born, there's a new stars in the sky. So when she was born, they knew that someone new had arrived, but they didn't know who it was. Anyway, so the god of war, Bade, he saves a human queen from dying, and that starts a lot of things. And I don't want to say too much, but Matilda is forced to leave the underworld at some point and go and live with her father in the Skyward. And then kind of whole new story begins. She does have like one friend there, but she feels very alone up there. And she has to stay there. Her father doesn't want her to go on her missions, her delivering messages for quite a while. So he's very controlling, and the god of spring, who's another god, he's a horrible person. But this human, Vincent, is a lovely human, and he ends up being kind of duke or leader of his the castle he's been brought up in, because his father and brothers will die by his uncle's hand. And this is a lot about the war between him and his uncle who left but has come back, and Matilda wants to help him. So it's a very adventurous book, I would say, but it's also so full of love, and it's such a beautiful, beautiful language. Feels like she has created a new style of writing for this book than she had before. She really wants you really get this feel of this old world in the way she writes, and I just wanted to read something Vincent thinks about her. This is towards the end of the book, but it doesn't really matter. I knew this would be my fate when it came to loving her. She was everlasting. She was destined to come and go, like the cycle of seasons. And what was I? A humble mortal, cursed to age and die. I was rooted to the ground, destined to return to the earth as dust. I could not hold her any more than I could the wind, but I loved her for it. So it's kind of sad feeling in this book, and that they want each other, but they know they will be hurt. And yeah, read it. I won't say any more. I will say beautiful, beautiful book. And it's a good book. It's a very good book. And you won't stop. You won't be crying at the end. And if you haven't read the other series, Divine Rivals, it doesn't matter, because, but it is. I think it's more fun if you have read them before you read this. But it definitely doesn't matter. You don't have to read it. And then I read a totally different other kind of book again, and this is the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, which was just a fun, quick, cute little romance, quite a spicy romance about a book owner. No, she doesn't own the bookshop. Doesn't matter. She works in a bookshop, Hazel, and there's Noah who comes to her shop almost every week to buy a book, but she doesn't understand that he is in love with her, which was that was the annoying part. It took too much of the book for them to realize they both loved each other. That was a bit annoying, but it was really cute, and it was fun because someone was leaving messages for her in books. She's turning 30 in the autumn, and she's kind of really stressed out about that she hasn't had any adventure in her life, and this clues in the books makes her want to be more adventurous, and Noah helps her with that. So yeah, it was fun, it was sweet, and it's definitely spicy, but not too spicy. So yeah, I could recommend it. It's I would say 4-star. Well, maybe between 3.5 and 4 stars. And then I read The Honey Witch, which is, you could say, like a bit of a Jane Austen world mixed with cottagecore, because Marigold Claude, she's been brought up in this rich artistic family, and she is not artistic herself at all, and she's kind of forced to go to balls and try to meet her future love, and she hates that. She doesn't really care about that. I mean, of course she wants to fall in love sometime, but it's not really important to her. And then her grandmother arrives and says, well, I'm about to die soon. I need Marigold, because she's the next person in family to take care of the island where she lives, which is far, far away. and she is a witch, and she didn't even, well, she actually, I mean, she does know that she has kind of magic. She can see spirits and she feels stuff, but her mother has like kept everything quiet. She hasn't told her anything really. She really misses her grandmother, so she's really happy when she arrives, and she gets to leave and goes to this island called Innisfree, I think. And but there is a curse on the witches in her family. So if you choose to use your magic, you can't ever meet true love, or that person who is your true love won't actually feel real love for you. But she decides it's worth it because, yeah, she wants to be a witch and she feels that's what she's destined to do. And so first part of the book is kind of sweet, but then her grandmother is very old and she's over 100 years old. She is dying, so it's also very sad and lonely, but she has the spirits, and she has her grandmother's cat, and she has her grandmother's old neighbor who really loved her. He did love her, but he couldn't really feel it. And then she also meets this old friend, August, who they knew each other as children and they still want to see the grandmother. But something really horrible happened once, which why her mother went back with her there. And so it's like this mystery. Why is this curse, and how can you take it away? And and her friend August has her best friend called Lottie, and she really likes Lottie directly, but Lottie is really rude to her and she doesn't believe in magic, which is kind of strange because everyone else in the neighborhood goes to her for help for really anything. And I think it was some things were just too obvious for me. I knew directly who Lottie was and what was going to happen. And I mean, that's the same, of course, with the love stories. You know exactly in this book what's going to happen too. But when it's like something is supposed to be a mystery, and you know, oh, okay, she is. I understand. She is that person's. Yeah, I don't want to say too much, but you read it yourself, you will see what I mean. It was just too obvious, and but which was fine. It was fine, and it was lovely friendships and lovely descriptions of the nature there, and it was really interesting. This honey witch thing, that's the bees who gives her honey that she uses to be able to have magic. And then there's ash witches, and there was an ash witch who puts a curse on her grandmother from the first place, and kind of gets really dark toward the end. But yeah, I give this 4 stars. Yes, give 4 stars. Or 4.5 actually. I really enjoyed it. So those were the 4 books I read so far in October, and next time I hope we will be talking about Sense and Sensibility, and I'm also reading A Discovery of Witches, which is really long, so I don't know if I will actually be finished by the 31st of October, but maybe. I hope so. So I'll see you later. Bye.